Welcome to School's Out 80s. In the rule book cards, we need to laugh and have fun. Today, our special guest is a video guru and actress, Samantha Gillis from Alberta, Canada. And please welcome back my co-host, Leanne Savage from Birmingham, England. Next guest will be Mr. Christopher Uzinski from Atlanta, Georgia, a very funny man. First, let's go back and set the scene. It's the 1980s. Reagan is president. Ketchup is a vegetable. Madonna is on top of the pop charts. Michael Jackson is both king and thriller. Beer is $3.50 a six-pack, or 2 pounds. Movies are $3 or 2 pounds. Van Halen are the monsters of rock. Russia is the enemy, and James Bond is the man. TVs are furniture, and MTV is playing all day long. This was a time of people coming together, families and friends, to have a good time and enjoy each other's company. You didn't stare at your phone. You told jokes, you cut up, you hugged, you danced, you celebrated life. Our show is going to take you back in time. The stories, the funny stories that make life worth living. Life is short, so Leanne and I are here to entertain you. This show is clean, not crude, no real names are used, and we want to share our funny stories with you so you can share your funny stories with us. Again, welcome to School's Out 80s.
Everybody, welcome to the second episode of School's Out 80s Comedy Channel. Myself, John Sales Warrior, my co-host, Leanne Savage,
Hi.
and our special guest. So go ahead, say hi, Leanne.
It's like, hi to everybody. Welcome back.
And our special guest today comes all the way from Alberta, Canada, Samantha Gillis.
Hello. I'm so grateful to be here. It'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. So we got the trifecta countries. We got the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada represented today.
Yeah.
So we welcome all our friends from all around the world to enjoy this. It's all about just relaxing, having fun, laughing. We're just going to share some stories. We'll just say a little blurb about each other in case you didn't catch our first episode. Right now it's over 400 views on YouTube, but I'm just a country boy from Missouri, living in Texas, trying to teach people how to laugh. And my name is John.
And I'm a city girl, living in the city and still trying to make people laugh. So
Awesome. And tell everybody where you're from, Leanne, and then Samantha.
Yes. So anyone that's watched the first episode, you know I'm from Birmingham, England, and it's great to be here with someone from Canada and the United States. I feel really cool at the moment, like I've got friends everywhere.
Yeah, awesome. So Samantha, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Samantha Gillis, and I am from Alberta, Canada, where the cows run free and the oil runs like gold. And it's been an amazing journey. I grew up in a small community. I've been to the big city. I went to college. I had a family. I've done a lot of it all. So I'm really excited to be here to listen to your incredible stories and to be able to share some of my own.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. Yeah, I'm not a professional comedian. I am probably, an individual that mentally is probably still 13 years old.
Yeah.
It's a good age. Got a lot of curiosity for 13.
Yeah, I got a lot of years in that one. So I'll kind of kick it off, just get going with the story from the States. It kind of might blow your both minds. So when I was a young man growing up in high school, there was a concept that we used to embrace when I was in high school. And I don't know if it's done in either England or in Canada, but it's called gullying. And what it requires snow, and it requires the city streets, and it requires packed snow on the city streets. And so and I want to describe this a little bit because it's probably going to blow your minds pretty much. So the concept of gullying is for one to approach a car on its bumper, and you have to be in kind of a kneeling water skiing position with tennis shoes on. You grab the bumper, and as the car takes off, you duck your head down so that the person driving the vehicle doesn't know you're, getting a ride. And you ride as far as you can with your tennis shoes in the ice cold snow until either the car owner stops because he's freaking out because some kid just grabbed on the back of his bumper.
Yeah.
Or because you've come to the realization that this is possibly the stupidest thing you could be doing with your time, and you're going to die.
Yeah, I mean, it's if I'm ever skinned and I can't afford a taxi somewhere, it's definitely an idea to keep in the back of my mind.
It could catch on, especially in the herding economy across the world. I mean, I could put together an internet product, which would just be like a self-inflating tube, and you just get a rope, and you just tie the rope to the back of the car, and it's for people who don't have their own transportation. Yeah. It's just, maybe you put 2 tubes, and then you got Uber.
It's great for social distancing as well,
Yeah, but boy, I mean, as I tell you guys this story and I think about it, it just gives me pause. Like, it was almost like an out-of-body experience. Now that I think about it, I'm like, what were we thinking?
Yeah. I've got a question. Was you ever caught? Did anybody ever catch you?
Oh, absolutely. Almost every time you did it. Because just think about it. You're in an intersection. People are already driving very safely because there's snow and ice all over the place. And there's a car right behind the car that you're gullying on. So as you're gullying, the guy behind or the gal behind is honking their horn going, "What are you doing? What is this kid doing?" And so finally the person in front and that you're gullying and the person in back, they stop their vehicles. Oh, it's horrible. And so then you're caught, and you got your tennis shoes on, and so you run as fast as you can between some houses away from these people 3 blocks down the road so you don't get in trouble and have to, your parents don't find out.
Yeah.
I feel I can relate to a story like that, John, because growing up in a small town myself, we were wild. We were really, really wild. And with me in particular, I mentioned how, I don't think I've mentioned since we started recording, but I grew up in like a itty bitty town, right? Where my dad owned the local grocery store. Everybody needs groceries. So everybody knew Sam, right? And so I ran around the town wild. They make those comments where it's like, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
Well, I was that child. And I would ride my bike on the highway to go to my friend's farm to go and like play with my friends. And that wasn't like outside of the norm. Like my parents kept tabs on me by other parents calling me and saying, "Your kid's over here, by the way." Right? So one day, I gathered up my friends. I biked out to the farm that was, 2-3 miles out of town. And I was playing with my friends, and we decided to go, I don't know if we were having a picnic or what, but we went to a field. Well, it's not unusual. I'm sure both you and Leanne have seen, cows outside of their gates once in a while, right? It happens sometimes.
They get out. That's right.
They get out. Well, this time it was a bull.
Oh.
Yeah. So we ended up getting like chased by a bull down this dirt path, and here's like 3 kids on their bikes. I can't remember exactly how we outran the bull, but we did end up outrunning that bull. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
It just shows when you have to run, you will run.
Oh my gosh. Oh God, my heart's pounding a mile a minute even thinking about that. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a good story.
We got lucky. We didn't get hurt, but yeah, it was quite a traumatizing experience. Especially because the adults don't pay attention to us, right? We're just out there being free, doing whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. There's so many crazy things that we do as teenagers and kids. And where are all the grown-ups telling us to not do these things? I mean, going off stories of...
Kids don't listen anyway.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is true. I wouldn't have listened. But going off stories about doing like crazy things as like kids. I remember being about 12 or 13, and we thought it was a good idea to play football on top of a shop roof, because the shop roof was huge and it was completely flat. So we thought it would be quite fun to go on top during the summer. We got on there regularly when the shop was shut. It was quite a big shop. And one day the roof collapsed on one of our friends. So he ended up inside of the store, and we wasn't good friends, and we didn't decide to help him. We just decided to run, and we left him there on his own. So we heard the police sirens was going off, and we were so scared because we thought we was going to get into so much trouble, when in reality I think the police and the shop owners was just happy that actually nobody was trying to rob them. We didn't play on a roof again after that. We learned our lesson.
I guess okay, Leanne, quick question. Who won the football game?
I can't remember. I know it wasn't me. I was never on the winning team. I was always picked last because I was terrible at football. So.
Oh, that's okay. So the person that went through the store, fell through the roof to the ground. I mean, to me, that sounds like a movie. Like like I picture a movie where these young kids in England are playing a pickup football game on top of a roof, and everything seems to be really hunky-dory. And then the next thing you know, one of them goes crashing down into the storefront, and the police gather, and the kids scatter. I mean, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, he gave. By the way, he gave up all of our names. We all got into trouble. He told on all of us. I don't really blame him after we left him there, to be honest.
So 2 days later, did you do the same football game? You just knew, where the bad parts on the roof were?
No, we carried on playing football that summer, but we played it on grass.
Oh, you did? Okay. I didn't know. Sometimes kids learn their lessons. Sometimes kids don't learn their lessons. I mean,
we learned our
lessons. Was there a ledge on that roof? Like, what happened if the football fell off the ledge?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it was pretty big, and there was like about 2 lads that was always sent. It was always the same 2 people that were sent off to go and get it. But it was pretty big, so it didn't happen as often as you thought it might. But when it did, the same 2 people had to go and get the ball.
So was it tackle football?
So it was what you would call soccer. So
I think soccer in Europe, right?
Yeah, so what I would call that football, but it's what you would call soccer.
Yeah.
Soccer.
Yeah.
Soccer to Westerners. Football to
that's my non-experienced European stupidity coming out, which is okay. Okay, so
I think that's great. Sorry,
what?
I was just going to include because I got a rooftop story too.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I lived, like I said, I lived on top of a grocery store. So we had our stairs that would go up to our apartment. And then there was a railing that separated our door to the roof. And
right.
As a little 8-year-old kid, I would crawl over, right? And well, mine did not have an edge on it. So I had to be careful when I got to the edge. But what we would do as little menacing children is we would like throw pennies down off the roof and eggs and like try to hit people on the sidewalk until my dad got mad at me for having it.
Oh my God, that is a great story. That is a great story. I think I can piggyback off that story. So we were in South Padre Island vacationing, and people were walking back and forth on the boardwalk between our hotel room, and we were out on the what do you call it? Your like sun porch or whatever. They give you a little itty bitty sun porch at the hotel, and we were taking cups of water, not to hurt anybody. We were just having fun, and we were dumping cups of water on the people coming back from the ocean. And they had no idea where it was coming from. That's what was so funny, because we were so far up. You know, we were probably 40 stories up. And why we thought it was fun and, you know, beautiful oceanside, sitting in our hotel room dumping water on people coming back from the ocean. But it was funny. Oh my God, it was funny.
Did you actually hit people and watch them like get like?
Yes. So I mean, kind of. You could tell. I mean, all you could really see was like the bottom of their heads, and so all you could see was like them, like, you know, going back and forth and waving their arms crazily or whatever, you know, and looking up, and they can't figure it out. And if you get hit by water, you always think it's the person behind you, right? You never think it's somebody 40 floors up throwing water.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Childhood pranks. It was fun. So
we actually used to have water fights in the winter, because our mentality was you're wet anyway because it's raining. So
right.
Why not just have a water fight when you're already wet?
Right.
I mean, we was pretty ill afterwards, and we figured out that's why people don't have water fights in the winter. But I mean, it's when we was like 10, it seemed pretty logical.
Yeah, everything seems pretty logical when you're younger.
Yeah.
Nothing bad can ever happen when you're younger. So here, let me give you guys a couple more anecdotal pieces of information about ghouling. And in kids, this is for adults. Ghouling is super dangerous. It's possibly the stupidest thing that I've ever heard anybody do in my entire life. Though I do know stupider things that people have done. But ghouling is possibly some of the stupidest things a human being could do with their time. Yeah, like it's like kids read books, on the internet, learn a skill. I mean, these are just funny stories that might or might not have happened. So there's the term a safer ghoulie, and a safer ghoulie refers to a planned ghoulie. So an unplanned ghoulie is when an unsuspecting auto driver has somebody piggyback on the back of their bumper. A safer ghoulie would be when your friend has a pickup truck, and he decides you and a couple of your other buddies should ghoulie for a few hours or whatever, because you have absolutely nothing else to do with your time. So that would be a safer ghoulie. And at some point, we took the safer ghoulie to a new level because we water skied as children. And so we took an inner tube on a ski rope, put it behind a pickup truck, and And you got to realize the situation. There are no, where I'm talking about, there are no cars anywhere. We just had a fresh snow. Most of the cars couldn't even get around. And we're just like tubing around a park on the back of an inner tube. And the inner tube at some point was bouncing off of parked cars. But again, I want you to realize that there was zero traffic. Most of the people were safe in their homes. It was only the stupid teenagers that day that were out, apparently we couldn't find our snow sleds that day or our ice skates. So.
I can just see it, like you taking your car, 50 kilometers an hour and just sliding and holding on to that rope for your life, hell in high water, hoping that you don't fall off to the side and smack yourself into the side of the moving vehicle. Oh my God,
yeah. I can just imagine if anybody saw this, any bystanders, they must have thought they were seeing things, or like they was dreaming or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have 2 teenage boys, and now I walk around the house, and sometimes I have like an out-of-body experience. The things that I see, I have to just sit there and go like, is this really happening? I mean, is this reality for me? I'll give you an example. So I went into the kids' bathroom. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leanne.
It's scary having children, knowing the stupid things that I did growing up, thinking like, I really hope they don't do any of those things. I really hope they're much more sensible than I was.
Well, yes. I'd love to share a parenting story. So
go ahead.
My youngest, when she was about, I don't know, 2, 3, I would have my keys. I would hang my keys up by the door on a little hook, right? Up and out of the way, easy to grab when you're leaving and coming from the house. Not a big deal. Always have a drop spot. By the way, always have a drop spot. You keep from losing your keys, just throwing that out there. So anyways, my little girl thought keys were a pretty cool thing. I was a bus driver at the time, so she thought it was really, really cool. And somehow, I wasn't there for the act. Parents usually aren't when these things happen. So I wasn't there when it happened. But somehow, my little 2 to 3-year-old jimmied a way up to being able to get those keys that were, I don't know, like 4 feet high, at least.
Right.
2 feet tall. So I can't remember if I found a chair there or how I figured out that she had jimmied her way up to getting these keys. But she got these keys, and she went to an outlet because it looked like an engine ignition, and freaking electrocuted herself. Oh. Yeah, totally happened. Didn't hurt herself.
Oh my God.
But she got shocked. She got scared. But yeah. Things that kids do, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I get it.
Wow.
They gotta go in the hole. There's a hole. I see a hole.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow.
I have an 8-year-old son, and he's more mature than I am, so I don't really have any worries with him. He tells me off for doing things that he thinks I shouldn't do, I had gallstones a few weeks ago, and I told him it was from eating fatty food. So he had some chips and I didn't, and I said to him, "Can I have some chips?" And he said, "No, because you can't be ill again, so you have to eat healthily." So he tells me off and he puts me in my place. And very 80s, he got a Rubik's Cube not long ago, so he's trying to figure out the Rubik's Cube. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's hey, the Rubik's Cube is definitely from the 80s.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do the Rubik's Cube in the 80s. I can't do the Rubik's Cube now. I won't ever be able to do the Rubik's Cube unless they remove all the colors.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No,
Look, I got it. It's all black.
I've never learned the trick, but I know the people that have mastered it. Like there's an actual strategy trick to it, and when
Yeah.
you learn that trick, you can get it done in like no time flat, right? And
Yeah.
it just impresses people like left, right, and center.
Oh, yeah.
What was fun from my childhood were so we would get like those puzzles where there were nails, right? Where you would have to like balance the nails and try to get those were what kind of came out of my childhood. Those were the puzzles that I really geared into. And what I loved about any of those tricks, the Rubik's Cube and those puzzles, was the show stoppingness. Like once you figured it out, how people would be just in awe of this being completed, right? I see your bright smile, so I'm excited for your son to figure out the Rubik's Cube and use it as a parlor trick.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. So I think we said this in the last episode, but when I was a kid, me and another friend of mine were magicians. And so we used to do magic shows for Girl Scouts and Brownies. Lots of giggles from the Girl Scouts and Brownies, not us. And and one of the tricks was you take a cigarette and you light a cigarette and you show, the smoke, ooh, ah, or whatever. And then you take a scarf and you take the scarf and you put your hand and you put the scarf down like this. And you take the cigarette and you again show how it's going to hurt you. It's hot, it's burning, and then you put the cigarette into the scarf like this. You put your thumb into the scarf, and then you hold the scarf up. And this happened in the 80s. And you hold the scarf up, and then you turn it around, and you show everybody that neither side of the scarf is burnt.
Right.
And how you do it? False thumb.
Oh. Huh. Fine.
50 cents for that magic trick when I was a kid.
And
Now,
a lot of smiles.
$5.
You can't buy that many smiles. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
Oh, the awe of those little girls were just like, oh my God, he's the devil.
Oh dear.
When you can't explain things, you always blame it on the supernatural. Like,
Isn't that funny?
it's been that way since the beginning of time. When people used to get colds, they thought it was because of bad spirits. When people and they thought that when people sneezed and they opened their mouth, because you're forced to open your mouth up when you sneeze, you say God bless you so a ghost doesn't go inside of you. Gesundheit is actually the German name for keeping a ghost out of your body, I guess. I don't know. I haven't completely researched it, but my 17-year-old, I was making greasy hamburgers, and I guess I didn't wipe my hands off perfectly or whatever, and I used one of the doorknobs in the house, and so it had grease on it, and he thought, oh my God, we now are demonically possessed in our home, and he was freaking out because he spends too much time on the internet learning about demonic possession, and we thought that we were being possessed. He was like, he goes to my wife, he's like, we need to get a crucifix for every room in the house, Mom. We have been possessed. And I'm like, oh my God, I was frying hamburgers. And you can't argue with the teenagers because they're always right. No, that wasn't from the grease on your hands when you touch the knob, whatever. So I got another story from the 80s, and this would have been early 80s, and I would have been, say, 13 or 12. And I'm in my family room at my house, and again, there's snow on the ground, and we didn't have cell phones, and then two, you kind of had to worry about calling your friends if you're going to do something wrong. Like your friend, if you were going to do something wrong, like sneak out or something like that, you couldn't like call the friend first because it was the house phone. Everybody would know something just happened. Like every time you got on the rotary telephone, my mom would ask, well, who was that? You know, so I'm just sitting there watching TV one day. It was a Saturday night, and a car pulls up in our driveway. And it's a friend of mine's parents' yellow blacktop convertible. Old car. It was actually called a Corvair. At some point, they had to outlaw them. They didn't make them anymore. They made very few of them. But I'm trying to give you an idea of the type of vehicle that just pulled up. And I'm like, what is my friend's mom's car doing in our driveway at like 10:30 at night? And my parents were upstairs, like, you know, watching TV. And so I got curious. And again, we didn't have cell phones. We couldn't call rotary telephones from our car. And so I walk outside, I open the door, and it's my buddy. He's like my age, 13 years old. And he's got, so we're from the Kansas City area. He's got a Royals baseball cap on, not the kind that's soft. He's got the hard top baseball cap on with sunglasses. And he's 13 years old, and he's just driven his mom's car from his house all the way over to my house. And he looks at me and he's like, John, get in. And I'm like, I'm 13. My brain doesn't completely work right now. This looks like fun. I'm in. And there's snow on the ground, and it's a convertible. And the interesting thing about the convertible is it had the engine in the back. So the front of the vehicle, you could store stuff in. It's a really weird thing, but the engine was in the back, which made it really good on snow. So we go down to the same park that we were gooling in my other story, and we're just like doing donuts around the park. You know, so like we're not even being safe at 13. You know, illegally driving. Again, kids, don't try this at home. Extremely dangerous. No animals were hurt in this story.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say John was never safe when he was younger.
Oh my God.
John never took any safety aspects into consideration, did it?
It's amazing. I made it to adulthood. When I was in high school, I didn't think I was going to make it past my senior year.
Oh yeah, I used to sneak out when I was a teenager. Just outside of my bedroom was our front door, and we had like a porch with like a little roof on it. So I could jump onto the roof and then jump off onto the floor and then stay out all night. And there was a few times where my mum must have noticed that I'd like snuck out. And then I would try and sneak back in. I would open my bedroom window and my mum would be waiting on my bed for me. And
so
I'm like,
you're doing it.
Hello. Yeah, I was just out there getting some fresh air. I was really, really hot in here. I was just getting some fresh air. And she was like, that's funny, Leanne, because I've been sitting here for about 2 hours now. I was like, yeah, I was really hot.
That's great. Wow, the roofs in England get a lot of traffic.
Yeah, especially around me.
That's that's interesting. Very, very good stories. I like them. Okay, so my last story, you guys probably have a similar story, and this is just something that happened to me. So when you're in high school in the 80s. So I want to kind of give like an idea. So it was the 80s. MTV was on the TV. All my friends were at this high school party. Parents were there. We had both the parents were there. Actually, the grandparents were there too. Everybody was like all around the big TV at the time, which was tiny compared to today, watching MTV, enjoying ourselves. And then the conflict arose. So one of the girls was dating a guy who went to a different high school than our high school. Call it the rival high school. And he knocks on the door, and comes through the front of the house where the parents and the grandparents are, and starts coming down the stairs to the basement, because in the United States, we have a lot of basements, kind of like Wayne's World. You guys seen the movie Wayne's World?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like. Wayne's World, coming down the stairs, and you have the wooden slats in between the stairs. And so I knew there was conflict going on, because the guy coming down the stairs was the new boyfriend of one of the girls that was at the party, and her old boyfriend from our school was at the party. So picture this guy who's not wanted coming down the stairs, the other guy who wanted to, that, you know, his heart's broke or whatever. Well, now his rival is at the party. And we didn't commingle high schools very much. We did later, but early on, like if you were in the rival high school, you couldn't come to our high school party. Mm. And so I'm trying to be like the policeman. I'm trying to help the kid out, because the other boyfriend was like a linebacker on our football team, and he was a great gentleman, by the way. And if he listens to this, he's also been a Navy SEAL, and I got the deepest respect to him. But back then, you know, we had the teenager brain going on, right? And the teenager brain isn't always really good. And so he was coming down, and so I was just trying, and you got to picture me too. So I'm this tall, skinny guy with no muscles. And the last thing I want to do is get in a fight with anybody, you know, even if they have no muscles. The best thing I had going for me was I could, you know, joke my way out of conflict. But I was not intimidating by any stretch, except maybe my low voice, because I've always had a lower voice than most of the people that I went to high school or grade school with, for whatever reason. So I just grab him like this, you know, by his, and I look him straight in the eye, and I'm like, man, you need to get out of here. This is not good for you to be here. I don't want anything to happen to you. I thought I was helping him out. As I did this, not the guy who was heart was broke. I don't even think, he might not even really realized that this guy was there yet, you know, because the party was kind of going on, and, you know, and plus everybody's watching MTV. So, you know, people are distracted, right? So a buddy of mine, and I'm going to give him completely no name whatsoever, nicest guy in the world. I've never actually seen him harm a flea, and I've known him since we were like 5 years old. Like I could call him right now on my cell phone and say, hey, dude, we're talking about you. And as I grab this guy, and I'm trying to help him out, and I think I'm helping him to safety. My goal was to like get his attention, get him turned around, get him up the stairs before our other friend, who was the football player, beat the heck out of him. That was my biggest, you know, I didn't want to fight, you know, high school is just so high school. And while I'm doing that, trying to protect him, my buddy comes flying through, bam, 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 and hits this guy in between the wooden slats. And I felt horrible. And it's not funny, but it's just like something that happens to you, and you're just like, oh my God, this didn't happen like I thought it was going to happen. Oh, I felt horrible. And I couldn't believe, like, to this day, as I think about it, I think about my buddy and what a nice guy he is. I mean, he's a family man and everything. And I think about that, and he was trying to protect. I mean, he knew there was conflict. He knew I really wasn't doing any good. This guy was coming down the stairs. All I did was, unfortunately, put him in a situation where he couldn't protect himself at all. And I didn't mean to do that. And ultimately, no, that was the only, and I might have said 3 hits. It might have been 1 hit. You know how teenagers exaggerate. And I told you guys I'm basically the mentality of a 13-year-old. But it was problem resolution in the sense that we turned him around. His other friend that was with him got him out of the party, and immediately the girl that liked him ran to his corner, and you didn't have to go to the hospital or anything. It was just, but it's these things that happen to you in life. You're just like, I was trying to
Yeah.
help him out best I could. I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't know what to do. What am I going to do? I'm not imposing.
I can completely relate to if you're from a rival high school. This happens in England as well. The nearest school to you is your rival, whether you like it or not. You cannot make friends with those guys. I remember I was about 15 and I sort of was meeting with this guy from this rival school, and we was like doing it in secret because we would have just got really bad stick for it. So yeah, that must happen all over the world. Then it happens in England.
Yeah. Kids have trouble getting along. It's crazy. Like all those people that like were my rivals. We're Facebook friends. We see each other. We're all very close now. There's no such thing as a rival high school. But back then, we battled football games together, basketball games together. We were rivals. Not good. Not good.
I never went through a lot of that myself, but when I was really, really little, we had the rivaling communities as well, right? Again, I grew up in the itty bitty town in the middle of nowhere, so it was my little town, and there was even smaller little towns surrounding my little town, and and you weren't allowed to socialize with any of the Brownfield kids or any of the concert kids, right? It's so funny because it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Right? Like people are, oh my God, really? Really? We gotta play this game? And I don't know how much that exists in the world today.
Quite a bit, actually.
Does it? Yeah, I have no idea.
People put each other in boxes. Like everybody has to group everybody, and everybody has to like let me give you an example. So say you heard a singer for the very first time, a rock and roll singer or a country singer, immediately you'd have to say they're like. Oh, they're like Led Zeppelin. Oh, they're like Stevie Nicks. They're like such and such and so and so. Everybody has to like put somebody else in a box, even though like it might be completely different. But it has to, it has to be in a box. People are comfortable putting things in boxes. We actually used to learn about that in advertising. Like if you could put your product in a certain level or whatever, you could do better getting the consumer to recall your product if you could get them to think of something that they had already thought about a lot. Craziness. But, well, we're kind of winding. Go ahead, Leanne.
People do that with audiences too. And when you do stand-up comedy, people assume that the audience might not like their style because the audience is older or they're middle class. Whereas actually, it really doesn't matter what class or age or gender you are. It's completely down to your humor and what you find humorous. And people often judge their audience before they even get on stage. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah,
they want to compare you to somebody else.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Best thing you can do is just be you and let the people that don't jive with you, let them fall away and shoot off their feet because they will. And those that are, attuned to you, that really relate to you, just really put all of your time, energy, and effort into those people. That's really
and talking about stand-up as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, next year, if I'm allowed to, I shall be coming over to New York and LA in the summer. Fingers crossed to do some comedy. So I'll be joining some of you guys.
That's awesome.
So fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be so fun coming to America because in America, my accent is really cool, and in England, it's not cool at all. So,
Fun.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people are getting really excited about travel and creating new adventures for themselves. I'm hearing it a lot over and over and over again, myself included.
yeah,
And yeah, I think people are just starting to let go more of rooted attachments and really just going after their dreams and who they really authentically are. And that makes me so excited. It makes me so excited to watch people just go after their authentic voice. And yeah, it just makes my heart break right open.
Yeah.
So congratulations. I hope that you make it, Leanne.
Thank you.
We will hook you up in the States. If you make it to LA or New York, we got some contacts where we can get you in touch with some people to give you some gigs.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yep. Well, so Samantha Gillis, you got to tell the audience, our listenership here, all about your business, and I'll be quiet.
Well, thank you, John. I'm really, really excited. So for me, I really focus in on helping people to, well, shine their authentic voice. I do it both online and offline, but I really shine in getting people to broadcast online. I went through acting school. I am a trained film actor, and yeah, I'm just really, really passionate about seeing people's authenticity. And so I built a business around it. It's called Broadcast Confident Now. It's a Facebook group. And in there, we do all kinds of fun stuff like karaoke. I'm going to be getting an improv group in there right away. Excuse me. And what I'm really excited about that is I'm trying to recruit one of my old improv instructors from college to teach it. So that would be the bee's knees.
Heck yeah.
Right? Oh, I know you'd be the first one to sign up there, John.
I would love to do improv. I can't promise anything, but I would love to do improv.
And you would love my instructor as well, the person that I'm recruiting. You would just, yeah, it would make your heart sing.
Oh my God, that sounds like fun.
That's in the works. And so I give all of these resources that really focus in on teaching you to just use and play with your voice. So when you take those structures, you can actually create things like the Schools Out 80s, right? And have fun in the work that you're creating. It's a miraculous thing.
Absolutely. And you do like you can help people professionally, right? Like they can like do one-on-one coaching with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I help people from all levels, 100%. I help people with one.
That sounds really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
It sounds really, really great, and I'm sure that you'll do really, really well.
Yeah, it's growing. It's coming together. I'm really, really excited. But what's more exciting is the results that I'm witnessing and seeing people break through their boundaries of fear of showing up and creating these expressions of their inner heart, and then inspiring other people to do the same thing. So it's just a domino effect, and it makes my heart sing. It makes me really, really excited. It's one thing to teach it, but to experience the results is a whole nother level of fulfillment.
Yeah,
so
you sound like a really good, like sort of people person and a really great cheerleader, and I think we all need those people in our life. You know, we all need the people that want people to do well, because there's so many people that are the opposite kind. So people that want people to do really well are really important, and I appreciate people like that, like yourself.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really make an effort to make the experience as fun, as easy, and as comfortable as possible. Yeah. Because
I took Samantha's class, Leanne, and actually I just had some time off at the end of the year because I was so stressed out for my business, and I contacted Samantha, and I was trying to promote my book, and I was like, and I saw Samantha's stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, this looks so much more professional than anybody else is doing, because I have a degree in advertising and background in graphics. I used to work for an ad agency, and I'm like, most of the stuff that's out there just looks so childish and not professional and just mundane. Does nothing for me. It doesn't have any zip or zazz or anything. And I started seeing Samantha stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is over the top. Somehow I got to get a hold of her. Being a sales guy, I pestered her. And then she
the nickname that came in this week, the Broadway marketer. That's what someone called me this week, the Broadway marketer. I was like,
awesome.
Yeah. Right.
It's amazing though that people are giving you nicknames. It means that they're invested. It means they're really interested. It's really fun.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it's really sweet, right? Because I love that people witness that play, and that's the biggest piece of feedback that I get is like, wow, it looks like you're having fun in the creation of your business. How do I get a little bit of that magic dust? And
exactly.
That's the piece that I bring in that's probably so different. And I don't know, like I can't compare other people's work, but I know that a lot of people focus in on tactile, whereas I focus in on feeling and personality. So
yeah, and so many people just present themselves horribly. I mean, in terms of like how they present themselves on Facebook, like before we launched this, I listened to a bunch of podcasts. I'm like, okay, I'm not a comedian. I'm a professional sales guy. I'm an actor. No, I'm kidding. but I'm sitting there and I'm listening to all these things, and I'm like, oh my God, these things are horrible. That's normally how I get motivated to do something. I sit there and see somebody else do it, and I make an opinion. I'm like, oh my God, I think I could do better than this without even trying. And that's kind of how I started down this path. And then I got, like, Samantha in her class would have people get up and talk about, their broadcast business or whatever. And I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get interviewed about my book. Like these people have so much better goals than me. And then as I'm walking my dog, I'm thinking, man, I should do a video broadcast. And that's all I had. And then I was like walking my dog, and I was like, I don't want to be a motivational speaker. Someone wants to interview me about my book, and I can be motivational that way. But I don't want to do a thing where I'm doing, you should do this with your life, and you should do that with your life, and blah, 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 blah. I thought, you know what? I just want to make people laugh. And then I'm like, I'm not a professional comedian. But what does everybody do when they get to a party and they connect with somebody else? It's because you're telling stories and it's resonating back and forth. And somehow you're connecting and I was like, I want people to experience that all over the world. And hopefully I want my video broadcasts to be a party and to get people to party together, not drink, but to get people to enjoy each other's company together in a joyful way, and forget about life as they know it for 1 hour, or like in this case, probably an hour and 30 minutes.
Well, and if you remember, John, when you first approached me, I was a little bit apprehensive with you, right? But as we talked and you shared your goals and your ambitions with me, and that idea that you really just were heart-centered in the fact that you wanted to make people smile, that was the piece that flipped the switch for me into being, okay, this is a gentleman that I would love to help, because we need more people that are heart-centered in their delivery.
Sure. No, that's true. Well, I think we wrap up this up. Oh, go ahead, Leanne. I'll be quiet.
I was going to say, I think it's so important for people to express themselves, and to, like you was talking earlier, we have so many boxes to fit into, And being a mother of 3 children with autism, we often hit these barriers where people expect you to fit into a shape or a narrative, and we never ever do. And all we can do is we can celebrate our differences. And I'll teach this to my son every day, that yes, we are different, and sometimes we are strange, but hey, that's what makes us who we are. And we're having fun being weird, we're having fun being strange. And so many more people should just, accept themselves for who they are. Just be you. And some people will like it and some people won't. And I try to teach my children that as much as I can.
Yeah,
You know
I
what?
think that's most important.
So if you go to the grocery store in England, in Canada, in the United States, you get a box of crayons. There's not just one color in the box because you can't draw a pretty picture with only one crayon.
No, you need to have the whole array of colors to make a rainbow. How's it get any?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's an analogy that I came up with on the spot.
I love it. It was great. Amazing.
Yeah.
So go out there and fill all your coloring boxes up with one colored crayon. No kidding.
I had this idea just recently, and I'm actually going to create a post about it here right away. But the thing that came in my mind was, the more diverse your team is, the more diverse your project should be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're creating a project and you have, say, an Indian VA or an English, whatever, then you should absolutely be, out of respect, putting that into your project to build that diversity. Yeah, the more diversity you put into the backstage work, the more diversity you should be putting into the front stage work. And that's one of the most beautiful ways that I've come up recently to create that rainbow that John was just talking about.
Yeah.
I think it'll create a bigger, better, happier planet.
Yeah.
We need more happy people. So we're getting to the bottom of the hour, so to speak, here on Schools Out 80s Comedy Channel, and we're going to wrap things up. And from Dallas, Texas, I'm John Selswarrior. We'll be coming back to you in the lovely month of April. And Leanne?
And I'm Leanne from Birmingham, England, and looking forward to coming back to you in April.
And I'm Samantha Gillis. I am from, Alberta, Canada. And I'm just really, really grateful to be here and sharing space with John, the Sales Warrior, and Leanne from England, and being able to share these incredible, hilarious stories. So thank you again for having me here.
Oh, absolutely. And be looking for Leanne when she comes to the States, and we'll have all kinds of signage with Samantha if you need to get a hold of her.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell people I already know people. I said, this is what I can say. Look, I'm so cool. I've got friends everywhere. I know everyone.
So good.